Welcome to the Inquiry by Design Digital Resource Hub. On this page, you're going to find digital resources for each of the Inquiry by Design units that your district has adopted. You'll find targeted writing lessons for each of the three main writing types. And you'll find some resources in our Professional Learning Hub that should be helpful for you. First, here in the Google Classroom resources, you'll find these broken out into each of the grade levels that your district has adopted, along with each of the units inside of it. And we can open one of these up to see what types of things are included in here. 10th grade Dealing with Difficulty pulls up a little bit about the unit taken from the introduction. And you'll find a table of contents showing you some navigation for the page. And you'll find on here writing tasks, charts for discussion, as well as forms and graphic organizers down there at the bottom. These are going to be some of the most useful things from the teacher manual itself. Particularly in the case of writing tasks. If you click on Assignment, what opens up is an exact copy of what is in the teacher manual in the form of a Google document. Below the assignment itself is the appropriate student checklist for that writing type. Below that is the Inquiry by Design rubric for that. And below that is space where students can begin working on their response to the task directly in the document. This is an editable file, so what you can do is make a copy, edit it, assign it out to your class if you have any changes to make to it. But otherwise, you can use this button right here to assign it directly to the relevant class. If you click on it, it should pull up your Google Classroom connection. You can put it in these places right here, create the assignment, go. We can title it, and we can make it something where each student has a copy of their own that they can type into. When you get those returned from students, you can use the rubric in the document itself for any of your scoring and feedback if you wish. Or, I also want to point out, if your district is not using Google Classroom and you have a different learning management system, you can talk to our digital media director and set up another way of accessing all of these same materials. You'll also find, in addition to the Google documents, a PDF version of all of these. So you might be working with students in the classroom and just want a nice clean copy that you can print off and make copies of. In addition to the writing tasks themselves, you're probably doing a lot of charting on the board in your Inquiry by Design classroom. What we have here are slides that are built for some of the most common discussions that you can type directly into while students are responding. And you might also find, if you're in a distance learning situation or if students have technology in front of them and you want to approach it differently, you can pull up a Google Jamboard version of most of these things. And students can respond by, for example, posting a sticky note. Down here, you'll find forms and graphic organizers for each of these, including things like the search and study, where once again, you might want a document that you can type directly into while you're sharing it with the students. You can have them type directly into these types of things as well. Or you can print out a PDF copy of the work. You'll find different things in each unit according to what's in it, but you'll find them broken down generally in the same way: writing tasks, charts for discussion, forms, and graphic organizers. On our main page, we have our independent reading resources all collected right here. These come from the first unit at each grade level. So in high school, that's Foundations for Inquiry. At middle school, that's Introduction to the Reading and Writing Life. But we want to make sure that those independent reading practices are maintained throughout the rest of the year. So we want to put those resources front and center on our page here. Targeted writing lessons are something I encourage every teacher to explore. If you've not had the chance to yet, take a moment to open one of these up and click around in the resources inside. They are exactly what the title suggests. They are writing lessons that are targeted to different student needs. You'll find some of the information you need in these drop-down questions here. But in any of these sections, what I want to point out is that these resources are organized in the categories of the rubric and broken down according to these score points from the rubric. So a student who is scoring at a 1 on the argument rubric in comprehensive understanding might benefit from some really basic introduction to the different parts of an argument. But as they improve their writing, they're going to need different types of resources. So for example, at the level 4, we can continue working with our students who are scoring even at the higher levels and say, work on establishing the significance of the claim, for example. If I pull up one of these resources, one of them would be establishing evidence in literary arguments. Sometimes we need to have the conversation with students, what does evidence look like when you're trying to make an argument about an interpretation of a text? So targeted writing lessons open with a section on understanding the expectations. Then it goes into a section where students practice what they've been learning. And it continues into a section where students are given instructions to use this in a paper they are working on right now or a paper they are revising. So in this one, we see that in discussing establishing evidence in literary arguments, we can find different types of evidence. Sometimes there's a direct quote that specifically supports our claim. Sometimes we need to make an inference based on something that's happened in the text. And sometimes we can find patterns or ideas that show up in multiple places in a text, and we can make an argument based on that type of evidence as well. We have those for all 3 of the main writing types. And below that, you'll find our Professional Learning Hub, a collection of videos that we continue to add to throughout the year, as well as additional posts and guides that might be helpful. Always want to encourage people to submit feedback. If you have thoughts about the Digital Resource Hub, we would love to hear them. Thank you so much.